Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Hi, I'm Mark J. Harlow, Harlow, and I'm a professional nature photographer from Breezy Point. When did I realize I was a photographer? Before I had a camera. I would go out with my father, who was an avid outdoorsman, took me out hunting and fishing and trapping, and I would see things even at a young age that I would often repeat back to my dad. Did you see that? Or look at this. I was very observant as a child. Once I got into high school and took photography in high school, I really got into it. I mean, I really liked photography. The image we're looking at here is called Guardian. The reason I'm smiling is because it's such a special image. This is a very powerful image, very spiritual to me anyway. And what I went through to get it, it was painstaking. I had saw this eagle sitting down by the river in the winter, very large eagle. And so I hiked down to the river, and of course they don't call them eagle eyes for nothing. So she saw me coming in, but I went down and had all my snow camo on and just laid behind this old big down cottonwood timber area and just hung out there. And I thought, oh, I'll give it a half hour, see if she'll take off and if she'll fly towards me. So 6.5 hours later, I was starving, shivering, and running out of light. And during the day it would snow, then the sun would peek out, and it was kind of a magical day in itself, even though I didn't think I was going to get a good photo. But right towards the end of the day, I was watching two juvenile eagles hopping around on the ice chasing each other, and just caught a little glimpse in my right eye and turned and looked, and here she came. And she was flying right at me, and then she would look to her left, glide, and she was probably about a quarter mile away. I mean, she was quite a ways away. So I had time to get ready. And then as she's getting closer and closer, she had locked her wings, the wind had tipped her, and all I did was pop up over the log like this to take a picture, and she swung and looked at me, and I got the picture, and she took off. But it's just the power that I felt when she turned and looked at me and busted me that quick. I mean, how she saw me, I don't know, it was a pretty amazing thing. But I learned from the ground level and continued on after high school with, shooting nature mainly outdoor scenes in black and white as well. And that was back in the old film days. I don't know if you remember those or not, but I love film still to this day. One of the things that may set me aside from other photographers is my adamant, stubborn technique of how I photograph. I shoot single mode photography exclusively, one click. I do not speed shoot anything ever. And part of the main reason is I consider myself a traditionalist and a minimalist with my photography. I like the challenge of taking one click, one frame, and capturing that image as is, with the right light, with the right composition, in one click. I do not hold the button down and speed shoot 5 or 7 or 8 frames in 1 second. That's, to me, borderline video work. Well, this is one of my top 5 favorite grizzly bear photos of all time, and I have many, but this image was taken in Alaska, and this is called Alaskan Thunder. And as you can see, there's water and spray going everywhere. And this bear was a little close. She was about 30 yards from me, less than 100 feet. And I had saw her dive and miss a salmon and shake, and I wasn't prepared. So I missed the photo. And then she came closer and closer, and she was actually so close I could smell her. Bear have a musky scent, and I sat up high so she knew where I was. And she got used to me after a little while and came closer and closer. And then finally she dove for the salmon and missed again, cocked her head, and all this while I had time to slow my shutter down because I had envisioned this shot that I missed earlier, getting a neat action shot with the water actually slurred and rotating. So I actually had time to slow my shutter down and get ready in case she did shake again. And again, it worked out perfectly. She looked right at me, cocked her head, and I knew she was going to shake, and she shook, and click, one click, that's the image. Well, as a professional photographer, I have a lot of equipment and a lot of favorites. Today, I'm using one of my favorites. That would be my Nikon 300 2.8 lens with autofocus. It has very fast autofocus on it, and I shoot this particular body is a Nikon D300. I also shoot D700 as well. I have 3 D300s and 1 D700 that I still shoot. Great optics are critical to great photographs, especially when you're doing wildlife and subject matter that's far away. I use a tripod as a last resort, not a first choice. Well, if I had to describe my image editing process, it would be very simple, very minimal. I really strive to get as close as I can to what the scene is showing to me. With a lot of work and studying and technique, you can get very, very, very close to what the human eye sees. So there is a minor amount of editing that's required. And then you have to go in and prepare a high-res image for print. I build a template with the title of the image, copyright information, and size it to the size that I want. And then whether I'm going to print a paper print or a canvas, it's two different substrates, same process. And the time it takes me to print one 30-inch print, just one. If I had that same image on a traditional litho press for art prints, at a minimum, I could print 4,000 art prints in the time I can just print one. So my prints are 4.5 times the resolution of a traditional art print and a much wider color gamut because my photos stay in the RGB color field. So it's not that I'm gaining anything or gaining that much more, it's that I'm losing less. Behind me are two pretty special images of true wild Mustangs. And when I say true wild Mustangs, both the Dakotas have wild Mustangs. One's on a private ranch, one's at Teddy Roosevelt Park, both fairly confined small areas. The first time I've been physically shaken scared was with His Majesty. And this is a wild stallion that came up from behind me while I was sitting on about a 50-foot drop-off looking at another group of horses. On this particular morning, this gentleman and 7 others came up from behind me. I didn't know they were coming. And all I heard was a loud snort, and the hairs on my back and my neck stood up, and I turned around with my camera to my face, and that's what I saw about 30 feet away, and he was not happy that I was there. So thankfully, I got out of there without getting injured or worse. In October 2009, Lakeshore Dreams did a feature article on my nature photography, and in this article is His Majesty Mustang, amongst others. But it's a really neat story on the road that kind of got me here. And if you want to learn more about that article and my path to where I am today, that article, again, is on my website under the news section. What is a retro recycle program? Well, I've spent most of my adult life in the printing industry, and what I've found, because I publish all my own work, is that I can now retrofit any of my prints into an existing frame. And that way you don't have to worry about spending money on framing right now in these tough times. And you can give your living room or bedroom or business a great makeover. One of the things I like the audience to do is, if you go hiking in the woods, one of the little tips that I do and encourage others to do is to carry little grocery bags with you that you get from the grocery store, because unfortunately too many people litter. I take a lot of pride in doing truly wild wildlife, truly authentic nature work, meaning it's the best of the best as far as where I'm at, what I'm doing. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed looking at some of my work. I have said many times I take zero credit for the beauty of the work that I do. I give that glory to God. I'm just fortunate enough that He puts me in those positions and situations to capture and represent all the beauty that's out there in nature. I've been a perfectionist my entire life, and I refuse to use lower end methods for the work that I've tried and worked so hard to capture. I take an extreme amount of pride in capturing all these magnificent images in just one frame.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.